We're going to continue where we left off, which is page Tzadik Hey Amud Aleph, 95a. And just to remind you, we were talking about the last couple of days about the order of what happens to a neshama, to a person that refines themselves. And we mentioned how the Zohar explains that when a person is born, then the person gets a nefesh, which is the lowest part of all 5 levels of the soul. Then, if the person refines himself, then at some point he will gain a level that is called ruach, a higher level. The person will continue refining himself, will receive the level of neshama. All these nefesh, ruach, neshama are corresponding to the worlds asiyah, yetzirah, and bria. Nefesh to asiyah, ruach to yetzirah, and neshama to bria. Then later on, if the person will continue refining himself, he will receive a nefesh, but this time from the world of Atzilut, which the person will continue refining himself, will gain the level of Ruach of Atzilut. When we mentioned that the nefesh of Atzilut will be from Malchut of Atzilut, and the Ruach of Atzilut will be from Yesod of Atzilut, then if the person will continue refining himself, will receive the level of Neshama and Chaya of Atzilut, which will correspond that Neshama will be from Bina, and Chaya will be from Chokhmah. This is the levels how one can refine himself, and we mentioned that level that the person reaches Chaya and Neshama of Atzilut, this level is called Adam. This is the level where Adam Arishon was on before the sin, of course. Then we mentioned another thing. We were about to start now a new part of the Ma'amar, and we mentioned how the Arizal explains in a book, not really a book, but in the scripts that is called Ma'amari Rashbi. He explained there that if a person learns Torah for the sake of the Torah, then he will gain a revelation of a tzaddik that will get dressed most likely in a body, not in another form. And the revelation will be either from the nefesh of the tzaddik, or the ruach of the tzaddik, or even the neshama of the tzaddik. And the tzaddik that will reveal himself will be from the same root of his neshama, where we explained that each and every one of us is rooted in one place. We mentioned that Adam Arishon, if we want to look at it as a structure of a tree, then the neshama of the Adam Arishon is like a trunk, and from the main trunk will come out many branches. Not many, but let's say 5, 6, 10, 12, whatever it is. And from those big branches will come smaller branches, and then more branches, and then more branches, and so forth. So, from the soul of Adam Arishon came out 613 mitzvot, 613 souls. And from those 613 souls came 600,000 souls. And from those 600,000 souls came more branches and branches of many other millions of souls. But every one of us is one of these souls, and we're rooted to some branch. Eventually, when we're all connected to the same place, but if you're looking at it in the hierarchy of the branches, at some point we split out. So the tzaddik that will reveal to the person will be from the same branch. That's where you see that many times a certain individual will get more connected to a certain tzaddik, and another individual will get connected to that tzaddik, and would love his teachings, would love his way of life, and so forth. Doesn't mean that one tzaddik is better than the other. It just means that each and every one of us, our soul is rooted in the same place, that's sharing the same branch of a certain tzaddik, and we relate to that tzaddik. And needless to say that when we looking for our other half, many people, when they bless people to find their other half, they say you should find your other half from the root of your neshama, that it will be a relationship, a closeness. Even though in the physical world you don't look for a wife that is from the same family. But spiritually, well, some do, but spiritually you do want to be from the same branch, because it means that there's a much stronger connection, and needless to say that the rectification is coming from the same place. And sometimes that's what happens, that a whole family will be all from the same branch and all coming to do the same rectification. That's how you sometimes see in families that will be 5, 6, 7 kids. One kid is like not connected to the family. They don't look the same, they don't behave the same, and like, they call it a black sheep, but not necessarily a black sheep, and that's because sometimes that one neshama has nothing to do, it's not coming from the same branch, it was pulled from somewhere else for whatever reason, and that's why you see sometimes one person can be very observant and the entire family has nothing to do with Torah and mitzvot. You see like a completely different person. But nevertheless, that's what the Ari explains, and we're going to learn now the next part in the Ma'amar. That's why we gave this little introduction what the Ari was teaching. And if you want to follow, we're on page Tzadik Hey Amud Aleph, page 95a. The line starts, Rabbi Chia ve Rabbi Yossi. We mentioned many times how the Zohar was taught by Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, and Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai had a group of students that later on, one of the students, Rabbi Abba, he's the one who collected all these teachings and compiled them. So we find in many times in Ma'amarim in the Zohar that each one will be from a different one of the Tanaim. Here it's talking about two Tanaim, Rabbi Chia and Rabbi Yossi. I'aru chad lelia b'migdal detzor. One time, these two rabbis, they met together one night in a tower that was found in a place called Tzor. Now we do know now a place that is called Tzor. I don't know if this is exactly where it's referring to, but about 50, 60 kilometers north from us is a place called Tzor. Maybe 80 kilometers, I didn't measure lately, but in Lebanon, there's two very big cities, Tzor and Sidon. These are biblical cities, so I don't know if necessarily that's where they met. Could be, you never know where they were hanging out. We do know that they all lived up here in the north. Rabbi Akiva lived in a very long time of his life, he lived in Tveria, and we know that a lot of the Tanaim were around this area, especially we see that where they're all buried. So there's a very good chance that they did hang out in that place. Bechlal, we know that Eretz Israel doesn't stop where the border is right now. Eretz Israel goes all the way up to Turkey. To Turkey and into Iraq and Jordan and Syria. So, again, doesn't necessarily mean that that's where they were, but it says in a place called Tzor. It'arachu taman v'chadu dabeda. They spent the night there in a hotel or something, and they were very happy to meet each other. Maybe they bumped into each other, maybe it was planned ahead, but nevertheless it says it'arachu taman. They both stayed there. They were happy to see each other, they were learning. It's not like now in our days the two friends meet, they go have a beer. They sat down, probably learned the deep secrets of the Torah, sharing with each other what they have learned, and so forth. Amar Rabbi Yossi told to Rabbi Chia, Kama chadena dechamena anpe shechinta. I am so happy that I have seen you. And seeing you is like seeing the face of the Shekhinah. That your face is like the face of the Shekhinah. The Shekhinah is the feminine aspect of the divine. Dehashta bechol archa, da itztarchana bechada sabataya. Why? Ki ata bechol haderech hazeh nitztarti bezaken. The whole way that I was in my path, I became very sad because I met this one old man who's a merchant. He ruined my mood. Dahava sha'il li. We're switching now to page, to the next page. Kol archa, the whole day, that old man kept asking me questions and riddles and all sorts of, sometimes you travel with somebody, the whole way they drive you nuts, asking like a bunch of questions. So, no chas v'shalom, not to offend anybody, but not too long ago, I was flying 11 hours to New York. Somebody sat next to me, he's like, do you mind if I ask you a question? And I'm like, I actually do. Oh, it's just a small question. Everybody has small questions. I never met anybody who has a big question. So on the way, I got on the plane and he came to me, he's like, you Rabbi Anava, right? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, I have a little question. I was like, good, we have 11 hours for you to bother me. So, and after a little question came another little question, and when he didn't understand the answer came another little question. So at the end of the flight I told him, I have a little question. He's like, what? I said, how come you measuring your questions with little, big? Just tell me you want to bother me for the 11 hours. So, and even the last time that we had 2 weeks ago when I went to New York, one woman also on the plane, she was like, "You Rabbi Anava?" And I'm like, "Yeah." She was like, "Oh, we're sharing the same flight." I told her, "What? I didn't notice. I haven't even noticed that we're both stuck on the same plane." So she was like, "Oh, I'm so happy. I just have a few questions. Do you mind if during the flight I'll come and ask you a few questions?" And I'm like, "Sure, why not? After all, there's nothing else to do here." So then I told the stewardess, "You see that woman over there? Keep her away from me." So now I'm joking. She came in the middle and I was just pretending that I'm sleeping. Every time I saw that she's coming, I was like, yeah. Should hang on me a sign, "Do not disturb." But nevertheless, so Rabbi Yossi told him, this guy, I don't know if he hitchhiked with him, whatever was the situation, but he says this old merchant traveled with me the whole way, and the whole way he was bothering me with all sorts of questions. Man hu nachsha de parach ba'avira. The first question that he asked me, who is this snake that takes off in the air? Poreach, when you have like a hot air balloon and you release the anchors, it starts going up. That's the word in Hebrew is poreach. And I don't have to say taking off or ascending or whatever it is, but he says, what is the snake that poreach ba'avir, that goes up to the air? Meaning, Hainu Samech Mem, meaning it's talking about the Satan, the devil, the Samech Mem, Hanikra Nachash, that it's called, he's called a snake. And he wanders and travels and floats in the air of the world. As it says, Mashot Ba'aretz. It's like, when we say the Samech Mem, or we're saying the Nachash, we're imagining like this little spaghetti going into Gan Eden and flipping his tongue, but nevertheless, that's not what it is. But he's referring to the Samech Mem that is, so to say, flying and hovering in the air of the world. Ve'azil bepruda, and he goes separated from his mate, his wife. His wife, we know, is Lamed Yud Taf. We learned about her a few times. He also can't stand her. So he also says, "Okay, honey, I have some trouble to make in this world. I'll see you in a few days. Let me just go and torture a few Jews down there, and I'll be back in the evening. And you, in the meantime, you do what you want to do. I'll be back. Don't wait for me. Don't wait up. I might be a little bit late tonight." But nevertheless, Azil Vepruda, he goes around the universe, but he separates from his Batzug, his mate, his other half. ובין כך itnaicha lechad namla deshachiv ben shinoi. And from place to place, that there's a rest. He's saying in a metaphorical way, when ant sits down to rest, and sits down to rest between his teeth, like his teeth, and like given to him to as a prey. And this is, of course, he's saying in a metaphorical way that between one place and another that he's going and prosecuting against one and the other. Then every now and then, like if you're looking at it in a metaphorical way, then a snake, sometimes an ant goes in the mouth. I mean, the snake doesn't move. I had many snakes when I grew up. I know what it means. The ant will walk around and start climbing over the snake, and sometimes will go into the mouth. But here is metaphorically saying that one ant, every now and then, like Hashem is like throws the Samech Mem something to bite on. He wants to say, in other words, if a person didn't want to fulfill the mitzvah of being fruitful and multiple, and died without kids. Some people, I think up until today, there's some people like that. They say, I don't want to have kids, I don't want to have responsibility. I'd rather be one night with this lady, another night with that lady, and the next night with this lady. I don't want to have kids. So a person that lives his life and doesn't have kids, and he dies without kids, he's given to the hands of the Samech Mem. Samech Mem is the Satan, the devil. והסמך מם על ידי שהולך בפירוד מבת זוגתו, מפריח את הנשמה היא בידי מלאכי חבלה. The Samech Mem, since he's going around without his wife, he blows this neshama, this soul, up, so to say, in the air, and all these destructive angels, malachei Kabbalah, are like biting at it. And what they do, molichim ota midechi el dechi, like kind of playing frisbee with it and kicking it from side to side. So, sometimes there is a game like this, that somebody kicks the ball in the air, and then there's a game, let's see how many times the ball can go from one side to another without falling on the floor. And then I bump it to you, and you jump and you bump it this way, and the point is not to let the ball on the floor. So the Samech Mem does the same thing. He gets a soul as a prey and gives it a kick, and then all these angels, these destructive angels, come and they each one get a bite at it. And don't think that this is not happening to you, by the way, because when we go to sleep, our soul leaves our body. Now, if you went to sleep and you did tshuva, and you said Kriyat Shema Lamita, and assuming that the day before you go to sleep was somewhat normal, you didn't cheat too much, you didn't steal or lie or whatever sins that one can do, then the soul goes up to Shamayim very clearly. But if Chas v'Shalom, the person didn't do tshuva and they have a few sins on their agenda, then the second the soul comes out, then all these angels, they come and attack the soul. And in other words also, they're having fun with it, kicking it from side to side. Mainly they want to suck a little bit of Kedusha. We talked about it many times. It's called Yenika, in the Kabbalistic term, that these angels are sucking the holiness out from the neshama. That's why sometimes people wake up in the morning and they all deflated, or there's no energy. They wake up sad, depressed, or wake up in the morning and right away, hit the snooze button and I need to sleep another hour because the soul is very weak. Didn't go to its place to get charged. Nevertheless, it says these malachei Kabbalah, these destructive angels, they're kicking it from side to side. אבל בין כך ובין כך הקדוש ברוך הוא מזמין לזו נשמה מקום מנוחה. But nevertheless, the Kadosh Baruch Hu will find a place for the soul to have some rest. מקום מנוחה על ידי אחי המת, המייבם את אשתו. How would that soul find a place of rest? That if his brother will come, marry his widow, the brother's widow, and will have with her kids. This is called yibum. If that's going to happen, then the soul of the man who didn't have kids will have a place to rest. והסמך מם, and then what happens? The סמך מם, שרי בחיבורה וסיים בפרודה. He starts in a chibur with something that is united, but finishes with something that is separated. כי תחילה היו זון דקליפה בחיבור הבא. In the beginning, there was a connection of the female and the male. We're talking about the sfirot, but on the side of the klipa, in the connection of Abba, the mother and the father, of the side of the klipa. וכשננסרו לו נתחברו פנים בפנים, אלא נשארו בפירוד. And when they were, so to say, cuts separately, they got connected. Instead of getting connected face to face, they stayed separately. Take a short stop for a second to explain. The Arizal explains that in the Gate of Reincarnation. And if you attend the Tuesday classes, then last chapter, now we're in chapter 7, but in chapter 6, that's what he's talking about. That originally the souls were created back to back, like Adam and Chava. They were stitched together, but they're back to their back. And that's because all the souls, there's always a female part and a male part, but they were attached back to back. And then there was an angel that saw them, like sewed, how do you say, sawed, cut them like a saw. That's the word he's using, ninseru, literally like a saw, and they were separated. And then the idea is to get them back together in unity, but face to face. Here he says the same idea, that the soul, when they started from the side of the klipa, the female and the male, back to back, then they got cut, but they don't get attached face to face. Rather, they end up being separated, which means two halves separated. This will explain many situations why we see many people in many generations, but especially in ours, that they can't find their other half. There's a lot of problems finding their other half. Now we continue. This is the first question that this old man, the passenger, drove Rabbi Yossi crazy. Who is this snake that is flying in the air? Now he asked him another question. Who is this eagle that is just parked in the nest in a very, eagle, their nests are in a very, very high tree. They're very protective over the children, and they know that not a lot of predator birds can fly high, and definitely not animals. So they make their nests very, very high in the tree, and the eagle hovers around the nests constantly, just keeping their eyes open. This is called lekanen, that is not on the nest, rather hovering in the air, like a satellite, looking down, waiting for something to try to take the eggs or the little birds. So he says, who is this old man says, who is this eagle that is flying over the tree where the nest is? But he's flying over a tree that never existed. Kind of giving him all these riddles. Here, when he said, when he says in the beginning that the old man asked him, he said, he asked me questions, but like riddles. And riddle is, that my kids sometimes ask me these riddles, and I'm like, come on, just give me the answer. I don't know. All these weird riddles. If I'm white, and I answer to this, and who am I? I don't like these riddles. Just give me a normal question. So, anyways, this old guy was giving him riddles. Who is the eagle that is flying over the nest, but over a tree that never existed? I'm sure Rabbi Yossi was like, come on, man. Like, just ask me something in halacha. What are you giving me now? Anyways, that means that woman on that flight was asking me all these questions. But anyway, so he says, the eagle that is flying over the nest, from a tree that never existed. What is he trying to say? An eagle? The eagle hints al hayabam, the brother that comes to the widow. Shehu mekanen, that is kind of like flying over the nest. Vubal eshet achiv, and he goes to the wife of his brother. Sheino bat zugo, that it's not really his other half. He's just doing it as a favor to the brother. In some cases, I'm sure that the brother made sure that the first one somehow fell down and it was an accident. So, but nevertheless, even the Ari explains when it comes to this yibum, Ari is also talking about it in the Gates of Reincarnation, also in chapter 4, about the three types of reincarnations. And the first one is called Gilgul. Reincarnations is not the right word, but the first type is Gilgul. Gilgul is when a soul comes out of a body, a person dies, and the soul, so to say, makes like a Gilgul, a roly-poly, a somersault rolls into another body. This is what all of us are. This is called the Gilgul. Another one is called Yibum, which is when a man dies without kids, and if the brother comes on the wife, which is now the widow, and he will have kids, this is a type of a reincarnation. And then the other one is called impregnation, ibur. These are the three types how a soul can come into a body. But nevertheless, here he's saying that the brother that died, now he left a widow, his brother will come and marry her and have kids with her. This is hinting to the eagle that is flying over the nest of a tree that never existed. Benoi it gazlul velav min birian. His sons were taken from him, but not from any creation, from any man. Saying in other words, the sons that he had from the widowed wife of his brother, they were taken from him because they were called after the brother that died. It's not really his kids. He just did that, so to say, as helping his brother. But these kids are not considered him. If brother A passed away, then the wife of brother A is a widow. Brother B comes on the widow and marries her, have kids with her. The kids of brother B, they're not considered brother B's kids. They're considered the one who died, brother A's kids. So it says here, the kids were taken from him.
Isn't often the brother himself as the Google?
That we don't know. This happens sometimes that the deceased brother will come as a reincarnation. But again, there's no black and white. It's not always the case. But really, the kids are belonging now to brother number B, and they're not considered that they were taken from him. Why they're called that they were taken? Because they were created in a place that they weren't supposed to be created. Saying in other words, they got born from the brother of the wife of the brother that was not supposed to be his other half. We're talking about brother number B. Okay, this is the second question that the annoying old man was asking. Now he had another question. Kad salkin nachatin. When a person dies and leaves from this world, and this person didn't have kids when he died, moridim otam le'achat min hasheva artzot hanikroot adama. They're taking that soul that left the world without kids, and they're taking that soul down to one of the 7 aratzot, I can't say really countries, but one of, let's just for the sake now of the translation, we'll say one of the 7 countries that are called Adama. Adama is afar, it's ashes, it's earth. There are many, like the same way that we know that there are 7 firmaments in the world above, there's also 7 on the other side. They're going down, and it's called Adama. In English, you would say land, but it's not really the right way to explain it.
Lower than planet Earth?
Lower than the surface that what we are on. So the same way that we have 1 Eretz, and then Sheva Rekim, 7 firmaments, then we have 7 Aratzot, 7 Aratz under. Now, this is not referring to the 7 Medorim of Gehenom, the 7 levels of Gehenom. This is just called 7 Aratzot. It's called Adama. Adama is earth, and it's, so to say, below the surface. Not a place that I recommend to visit, but if you can get a visa to some country, maybe there they'll give you a free visa. But nevertheless, they're taking the soul to one of the 7 countries. Again, I'm just using the word country because he says Aratzot. It's not really a country, rather, I don't know what would be the opposite of a firmament. Then whatever is an opposite from a firmament, that's what it means. And it's called Adama. And Adama, again, is earth. The earth or soil. And Sham, and over there they're going to be judged. V'nidonim Sham. Since they refused. I'm not talking about a person that physically couldn't have babies. I'm talking about a person that didn't want to. There's a story in the Torah about the 2 sons of Yehuda, Er ve'Onan, and they didn't want to have babies. They wanted their wives to look pretty, and they said, if my wife will get pregnant, she'll start looking a little bit not so nice, and the body parts will not be so firm like when she was 20, and all so forth. They would on purposely not have kids. That's where we learn the severity of the sin of when a man does whatever he does, not for the sake of procreating. And first was Er, and after that was Onan, and they said they would damage their sperm, their seed, just for the wife not to get pregnant. So this is a severe sin, because Hashem told you, I'm giving you the power of being fruitful and multiply. You're not supposed to take this power and do whatever you want with it. You have to use it for holiness. You use it for the wrong side, then we talked about it 2 months ago when we learned what happens when Lamed Yud Taf, the wife of the Samech Mem, what she does, she takes the sperm and she gets herself pregnant, brings demons into the world. Anyways, These specific people that didn't want to have kids and they were damaging their sperm, so to say, then they go down to one of these 7 levels and they judge them there. Since they didn't want to bring kids to the world, they're taking down, and what happens then? They're taking them down to these levels. They're taking the sperm that lo alenu went to the wrong place, and because with that sperm they're using to birth demons and spirits, evil spirits. Now it seems that they're taking away that power, the sperm that was supposed to bring kids to the world, and they're taking it, instead of bringing holy souls into the world, they're bringing demons into the world. If you remember, we mentioned that when the husband and wife are together during the week, they will pull down a soul from either the world of Asiyah, Yetzirah, or Bria, but it comes from a holy place. If the mother and father are having marital relations on Friday night, on Shabbat, then they bring a soul from the world of Atzilut. But if the marital relation here is not for the sake of procreating, then where's the soul coming from? It's coming from the Klippah. Specifically here, if it's done deliberately, then the sperm will be taken to produce with it, to bring demons and spirits into the world. Now, why is it said that the kids were, so to say, taken away from them? Because it's coming from the Sitra Acha, from the other side of holiness, these demons. Kad nachatin salkin, and after they take these souls down to these levels, ma'alim otam lezeh haolam hanikra tevel. They're taking them back up, the souls that were judged in the world below. After they were judged, they are taken to the world up. The world up is called tevel. ואחר כך שוב מורידים אותם לאדמה, and then they take them again down into the ground, וזהו עונשם, and that's their punishment. לרדת ולעלות באין מנוחה. They're going up and down and up and down and up and down. They're taking the soul, putting it all the way down in the ground. They're getting judged, coming up to the surface, up and down, like when you see sometimes in the mafia movies, when they want to get somebody out, they take the head into the toilet, take the head out, take a blue air. So the same idea, just a little bit more intense. They take the soul, put it into the ground, and so forth. Okay, this was question number 3. Now you can start imagining why Rabbi Yossi was so annoyed. Question number 4. Train de inun chad. 2 that are one. Another, I should say riddle, not a question. 2 that are one. Wants to say, in other words, 2 bodies that is one body of a dead person and one body of the Yabama, the woman who got pregnant from brother B. They're one soul. V'chad de'inun tlata, and one of them, and one that is 3. Saying, in other words, the son of the woman who was the widow, he has in him 3 spirits, 3 ruchot. I mean, we're talking about not spirits like evil spirits. I'm talking here, we have a nefesh ruach and the neshama. So the child now that is born from the marital relations of the widow and brother number B, or brother B, now comes a child out of that. This child will have 3 ruchot, 3 levels, 3 times the level ruach. The first ruach is the brother B, the father. Shehu levush lenishmato chadasha, and that's the garment of the new soul for the child. The second ruach, neshama chadasha, it's a new soul that they're giving to, that Hashem gives the child. And the third one, ruach ha'ikari, that's the main ruach, shel aviv hamet, shel the father who died. Like you said before, Chaim, the reincarnation of the father. Chaim, you listening? That the father, what you're saying, it's not a full reincarnation of the father, rather the ruach of the father, that's the main part of the ruach. The father that died, of course, that's brother A. That up until that point, the ruach of the father was in kafakela. Kafakela is a certain punishment that the soul of a wicked person gets, exactly how it sounds. Kafakela is a slingshot. And they take the soul, a few angels on this side, a few angels on that side, and they stretch it like a slingshot, and they let the soul go, and the soul flows flying over the universe And then on the other side, they're catching it and doing the same thing, and they're throwing the soul from side to side, which brings a lot of torture to the soul, going from side to side. I mean, it talks about it many times in the Gemara about kaf hakela. It's not like a day in Disneyland that, like some people say, oh, it sounds nice, throwing. There is such a thing I think in Wonderland or Disneyland, this type of how do you call them? The rides. There's amusement rides there. I was on something like this once, that they stretch you and they let go and you're flying. So a lot of people, they do bungee from top to bottom. And if you ever did bungee, it's pretty fun. But nevertheless, now they have another type of bungee that they shoot you like a slingshot. And you go flying and then you start hanging. But so this is fun maybe in this world. But it's not fun in the world above. Or one should say in the world below. But nevertheless, so from this unity comes a child. The child will have three ruchot. One from the brother B, so to say the father, the physical father. One ruach from the Kadosh Baruch Hu that gives him, and another ruach comes from the original father that didn't have a child. That's why it's so important to do this act of yibum, because the father of the child, the original one, brother A, is sitting in kaf hakela right now. Kaf hakela is not genom. Genom is there is a defined time how much the soul will be there. Kaf hakela, there's no time. If chas v'shalom a soul comes to kaf hakela, it will be tortured there till it's time to take it out. If you go there, I'm sure there's a long line. You'll see there Hitler, Rimach Shimo, and Yashka, and all sorts of, a whole line of their swinging them from side to side. So they're taking numbers there. But nevertheless, this is question number 4. Riddle number 4. Now, riddle number 5. Baruch Hashem, there's not many more riddles. That way, Rabbi Yossi would probably go to a mental institute with all these riddles. Only 5. Okay. Mahu ulemta shapirta veletla ainin. Who is the woman, the beautiful woman that doesn't have eyes? At this point, Rabbi Yossi was like, come on, cut it out. Who is the woman, the beautiful woman that doesn't have eyes? He wants to say, the parzuf of Rachel. We mentioned that in the teachings of Kabbalah, the sfirot of Bina and Malchut correspond to Rachel and Leah. Leah is called Ima Ila'a, a higher level mother. This is Bina. And Rachel is Ima Tata, a lower level mother, and that's Malchut. And the Sfirot in the world above, in the world of Atzilut, when they are united, they're called Partzufim. So he says, in other words, who is this beautiful woman that doesn't have eyes? This is the face of Rachel. As it says, שכתוב, ורחל הייתה יפת תואר, ויפת מראה. It says about Rachel, when Yaakov Avinu went to the well, he saw Rachel there, and there was background music of Julio Iglesias, and like, and Yaakov looked at her, and Rachel looked at him, and there was love at first sight. They were running towards each other, and it's unbelievable. That's where Hollywood gets all their ideas. So it says that Rachel was Yafat Toar. She was gorgeous, beautiful, and Yafat Mar'eh. Her Toar means that their midot, she was very refined, and Yafat Mar'eh, she was also beautiful. Could have taken to Miss Universe. But it doesn't say anything about her eyes. On Leah, it says that she had soft eyes. So, לא נזכר בעיניים בתורה. It doesn't say that she had eyes in the Torah. והעניין שאין לרחל, this is, okay, again, metaphorically speaking, that she didn't have eyes. רק ה' גדולות שהם ה' הוויות שהם ג' עין. This is already a more Kabbalistic explanation that she had 3 hayim, the letter hay, that she basically had 3 hays, which is referring to 5 havayot. The last hay of the word of Yud Kei Vav Kei is referring to the 5 articulations that we have. It's called hay havayot. And en la achet shegam hem havayot. Anyways, this is just an interpretation that will just get us a little bit more confused. But nevertheless, it's referring to the beautiful woman without eyes, it's referring to Rachel. Vegufa Timira, but she has a hidden body, meaning that you see just a face, a beautiful face, missing eyes, and there's no body. Saying another word, Guf Partzufa hu tamun beyom ba'olam hatzilut. The face of Rachel is showing, but the body of Rachel is, so to say, concealed into the world of Atzilot. Ve'itgalya, and it reveals itself in the world of Bria, but only at nights. After that, he continues and says, Ihi nafkat betzafra, in the morning, she goes out from the world of Bria, she goes out and goes up from the world of Bria, back to the world of Atzilut, ve'itkasiyat bimama, and he gets covered again in the day of Atzilut. I don't know if you remember, again, about a month and a half ago, we learned about, I remind you when I was asking you at the time how many hours we have during the day. And everybody failed the question and said 24. And the answer was no, there's only 12 hours in the day. And there's 12 hours in the night. But if you remember, when we learned about that, if you remember, we explained how in the 12 hours of the day, there are 12 combinations of the name of Yud Kei Vav Kei. Every hour is a different combinations of the letters. And the 12 hours at night, there are 12 combinations of the name of Hashem, Aleph, Dalet, Nun, Yud. And that's when we, if you remember, learned, now is going back to the same idea, that during the night, the Shekhinah goes down to the world of Bria, and only after that it goes back again in the morning to the world of Atzilut. Same thing here is referring to Rachel, that during the day, during the night, it goes down, her body goes into the world of Bria, and in the morning goes up from the world of Bria into the world of Atzilut and gets covered there. It kashtat bekishutin, she covers herself with the beautiful, like not jewelry, but kishutim is also what?
Adornments.
Adornments, yeah, adornments. But she covers herself beautifully. Dela havo. And she covers herself in adornments that weren't there before that. What does that mean? Dehainu beman chadashin. Man is an acronym of Maim Nukbin. When a person does in this world a mitzvah, he elevates a certain energy to the world above. This is called Maim Nukbin. Excuse me. The result will be an awakening from the world below, and that will bring a certain influence, a shefa in the world below. This is called Maim Duchin. This is just to explain the term. But how is she covering herself with these new adornments? That's how we say it, adornments. With an M or an N? N. Adornments. So how is she covering her that? With Maim Nukbin that goes up to the world above. New ones. Shelon itberu adayin ma'olam. They weren't sifted yet. They weren't going through the process of birur in the world below. Hinu biurim al kol shelot elu mevorim ba'orach kol adrush lemי שמשים דתו להם. And this is just now summarizing a little bit the question that this old man was asking Rabbi Yossi while he was traveling with him. Let's just read the end of the paragraph, and then we'll have to leave it over here. Time to pray. Okay. Kol da shail be'archa v'itztarna. All this is Rabbi Yossi saying, all this he was asking me on my journey, and it made me very upset, very sad. He says, itztarna. Makes me tsar. Tsar is the sorrow. Vehashta itli naicha. But now that I see you, I have peace and quiet. De'ilu havena kachada itaskana ube'emilei deoraita. That if this man and me would on the path talk Torah, that would be fine. But he was asking me all these riddles. He was driving me crazy. Ma dehavenan be'emilin acharin in deho. But on the other hand, instead of me dealing with him with Torah, he was dealing with me with the topics from Tohu. Things that are from the world above. They were just there's no points to deal with them. Why are you asking me all these weird questions? Let's talk about Torah. And he tells Rabbi Chia, if I was talking Divrei Torah, that would have been enough. That would be good. But the guy was talking me about things of Tohu. והנה רבי חייא השכיל בשאלות ובחידות אלו, and Rabbi Chia had the answer to all these riddles. So Rabbi Yossi was like, oh, finally I get the answer. I didn't know what to answer this guy. Rabbi Chia knew all these answers that are hidden in very concealed and secret places. Therefore, Amar Rabbi Chia asked Rabbi Yossi, Ve'ahu Saba Taiha Yedat Beklum, that merchant, and he calls him also Saba, meaning that maybe it's the Saba that came to Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Do you know who he is? Do you know what's his essence, this old man, the merchant that you're calling him annoying? Amar le, I told him, Yadana delet mamashu b'milui. I know that there's nothing really. I thought he's just some, hitchhiker. I don't know, a merchant. I didn't know that there's something there. If it was such a high soul, if he would know something, why is he asking me? Let him open the Torah and read it himself. And he wouldn't go on the path, the journey with me, and without question, without answers, and drive me crazy. Amar Rabbi Chia told to Rabbi Yossi, Ve'ahu taya it hacha. This merchant, is he still here? Deha lezimnin beinun rekanin, yishkach gavar zagin de dehava. Because sometimes the ones that you think of them that they're empty, they're actually, you're going to find in them gems. Here he says it in a nice way, Zagin de Dahava. Zagin is bells. Dahava is gold bells. The Kohen would wear on him gold bells. This was considered like gems, secrets. So he says, sometimes the ones that you think are just driving you crazy, or they don't have any Torah in them, sometimes they're worth a lot. Meaning, in other words, these gold bells are a lot of chidushei Torah, deep secrets of the Torah. Amar le, he answered back, if this is the case, ihu ve'atkin chamer b'mechela. Then if this is the case, I'll go back to him and he says, I'm going to feed his donkey. Basically saying, in other words, I'll continue the journey with him. He called him, the old man, the merchant, and he came towards them. I want to stop because we have to pray, but next, just read a little bit more because it's all connected. If not, tomorrow will be a little bit, just to remind us. Amarlon, now he told him, Hashta train inun tlat. Now, the two became three. Rabbi Chia and Rabbi Yossi, now they have another person with them. We don't know yet who's this Saba. Very curious. We're already hearing about him a few times. First he came to Rabbi Shimon, then he came to Rabbi Yossi. In the beginning there was only Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Chia, there were two. Now Rabbi Chia and Rabbi Yossi with this Saba, with the souls number three. Utlat inun kechad. And these three are like one. Why? When you tie three knots together, this is a parable, meaning that three knots doesn't get separated so fast. Kulam shenityahed shloshtenu bekesher echad. Klomar, when we all get connected in one knot, al yedei chidushei Torah, by us bringing new Torah into the world, sheitchadshu benenu, that we all, talking Torah between ourselves. Amar Rabbi Yossi said to Rabbi Chia, La amena lach dechol miloi rekanin ve'inun berekana. I didn't tell you that this person's words are empty. And there are just riddles with no meaning. Yativ kaimahu. Basically saying, I didn't tell you that all his things were empty. Lerek ki kol davar v'chidot she'en b'hem mimush, because there were so riddles with no something to hold. I didn't understand what he's even trying to tell me. Yativ kaimau. Now this Saba sat in front of them. I think we'll stop here. Mezad Hashem will continue tomorrow. Now we just figured out, we just learned yes, like to be continued. We can go a little bit more, but it's going to be long and we're going to go over our time to pray. and some of us have to go back to their families. So let's stop over here. Keep it fresh in your mind. We'll remind you tomorrow about Saba and the riddles. But nevertheless, tomorrow we'll find out a little bit more about what he has to say. רבי חנניה בן הקשה אומר, רצה הקדוש ברוך הוא לזכות את ישראל, לפיכך הרבה להם תורה ומצוות שנאמר, אדוני חפץ למען צדקו יגדיל תורה ויאדיר.